Welcome to the NFL Week 16. Looking forward to this week, guys. We have a full slate of games again this week, most of them on Saturday. Week 15, top to bottom, I think the plays I gave out on the YouTube channel, all sides and totals, I think I went 7 and 5. For my patrons, it was a rough week. We went 1 and 4 for the client plays. The only one I got right was Tennessee against the Chargers at plus 3.5, and then some tough, some tough beats, some wrong sides, I guess. Had Carolina on the money line against Pittsburgh. They came up short. Did not expect Trubisky to have a good game like that, especially against a Carolina defense that's been playing well. The Jets and the Lions. Really a close game. I thought the Jets should have won. The Lions came up with 2 big plays. One was a punt return, and of course that 4th and inches there at the end of the game, they scored a touchdown on to win that game. I had Tampa Bay plus 3.5. They were up 17-0 and lost that game. And then I had New England on the money line, and you guys probably saw all that game there. The crazy finish against the Raiders. Unlucky there with the laterals. But even before that, it was a questionable tying touchdown by the Raiders. Looked like the guy's foot was clearly on the white. And unfortunately, that was a tie game. And then all the laterals and just got unlucky there. So, 1 and 4, I think I could have easily went 3 and 2, but some tough beats. In the 4 o'clock games last week. But anyway, we turn the page here to week 16. Look to get back on track after the last couple of weeks we've been doing okay. So I'll go through. I'm not going to go through Sunday's games, but I'll go through the Saturday games and then tomorrow night's game as well for Thursday night. Like, comment, subscribe, guys. Again, sign up to the Patreon. We'll get my official plays over there. Plays that at the very least that I really like. It doesn't mean I'm going to bet all of them, but they're plays that I do like, and then you guys can form your own opinion. At the end of the day, you can go with my picks, you can fade the picks, whatever. I'm just giving you my opinion, and at the end of the day, you can kind of if you're on the fence and you kind of like what I'm saying, maybe a reason to jump on it, or maybe get off one of your picks as well. So. Thursday night football, we have Jacksonville at the New York Jets. Jets are laying 1.5 points. This should be a interesting game. I have a couple of rules. Don't bet Atlanta, although I did say take Atlanta last week against New Orleans plus the points, and they ended up coming through. And I don't bet Jacksonville, really because I always seem to get Jacksonville games wrong, and I don't like betting Thursday, and Jacksonville is playing on a Thursday, so this is really a game that I won't be betting. I'll be staying away from. Obviously, initially when I look at this game, I'm like, well, it's a pick'em game. Let's take both teams. Jacksonville has been playing pretty well. The Jets have obviously struggled in the last 6 weeks, but obviously what stands out is Jacksonville's quarterback versus the Jets quarterback. Jacksonville has a young upcoming quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, who looks pretty good. It looks like he's getting better each week. And the Jets are a complete disaster with Zach Wilson. If Mike White plays, which I don't think he is, I think Wilson's going to be playing. It makes this pick a little bit more challenging. Initially, I liked Jacksonville because of the quarterback situation, but I think I would lean the Jets here in essentially a pick'em game, even with Zach Wilson. Really, it's just because the Jets still have a really good defense, still a much better defense than Jacksonville. And I think on a short week, it favors the home team. Again, asking Jacksonville to do a lot here to go on the road on a short week. And although Jacksonville has played better as of late, there was many games last week that were surprising. Obviously, the big one was the Minnesota game, right? Indianapolis, Matt Ryan on the wrong end of a big lead again. Minnesota shouldn't have won that game. We know that. The Raiders probably shouldn't have won that game the way they won that game against New England. Tampa Bay up 17-0 against Cincinnati and somehow didn't cover 3.5. They had obviously the big difference in that game was they had 4 turnovers. They were -3 in the turnover department, and you'll lose every game like that. Tampa Bay, if you look at the stats, outplayed Cincinnati, but you lose a turnover battle, you're not going to win. And then obviously the Jacksonville and Dallas game. Dallas was up 27-10 in the third quarter, and they lost that game. So I think it's kind of a sell high spot here on Jacksonville. I think they're a good team, but I don't think they're I think they're an average team. They're 6-8, 6-8 football team. I think the Jets here with better defense at home on a short week. I kind of like them in this spot. It's pretty much a must-win for both teams. So I would lean the Jets here with the better defense. But obviously, it's, tread lightly here. It's Zach Wilson. We don't know what's going to happen. But Jacksonville's defense isn't great. Detroit's defense wasn't great, and Wilson's still couldn't do anything. You expect a low-scoring, grinded-out type game. I think the Jets end up squeaking ahead and winning this football game. Next game, we have Atlanta and Baltimore. I'm just going to take the points here. Baltimore Lamar Jackson might be back this week, but you can't trust Baltimore laying points. They haven't been a team that can win by margin. They blow a lot of games. I think taking Atlanta on the road, whatever it is, +7, +7.5, whatever number you get, I think is the right side to pick. I won't be betting this game because, again, we don't touch Atlanta games unless you absolutely have to. But I can't. Same thing as a couple weeks ago. I can't lay a large number with Baltimore. I would lean Atlanta plus the points. Next game, Buffalo at Chicago. Buffalo's laying 8.5 on the road. I would lean on the Chicago Bears plus 8.5. I said to take Chicago last week as a 9-point home dog to Philly. They covered. I think same kind of situation here. It's essentially the same line, Buffalo and Philly now going into Chicago. And Buffalo, again, they have won by margin. I said take Miami last week plus 7.5, and they came through. Buffalo laying a lot of points on the road here. Weather is not going to be an issue. Two cold weather teams and all that, but I think Chicago can run the football, shorten this game, similar to last week. Keep this game close. I take Bears plus the points. Next game, Cincinnati at New England. Since he's a minus 3.5 point favorite, since he's hot, they've won 6 in a row. I've stayed out of their way. Mostly stayed out of the way. I got in their way again last week, and they beat Tampa Bay. I'm probably not going to be betting this game, but if I were to bet this game, I would take New England plus 3.5. I understand Cincinnati is miles better than New England on offense, but I wouldn't want to be New England this week. Bill Belichick probably chewed these guys to pieces after the way they lost against Vegas. I think this defense plays really tight this week. I think they can keep Burrow, at least contain him. And I think New England on offense, they're going to come up with some plays this week to be able to generate enough points. I expect a very close game, honestly, like a field goal game either way. So if I'm getting 3 in the hook, I'll take the home dog in this game, which is essentially a must-win game for New England. Again, I don't want to get in Cincinnati's way because I understand that they can open up this game, but I think it's a field goal game either way. So take the points, take the Patriots. Next game, Detroit at Carolina. Big game. Lions laying 2.5. Believe it or not, even with Carolina losing last week to Pittsburgh, they still control their own destiny to win this division. They still have Tampa Bay on their schedule. They already beat Tampa Bay this season, so if they can win out, they win the division. Disappointing loss for Carolina last week. I thought it was a good spot for them against Pittsburgh, and they let Trubisky kind of do whatever he wanted against that defense. Detroit's got a pretty good offense. I know, again, like last week against the Jets, everyone was on the Lions, and it was a game I honestly thought the Jets should have won. And I think everyone's going to be on the Lions again this week. So I think they're just going to be a public pick. I'm not going to bet this game, but I would fade the public in this spot and take Carolina. No one's going to want to take the Panthers in this game. Everyone loves Detroit. They're a fan favorite right now, and people are rooting for them to make the playoffs. I think this is a tough one. I think Carolina's defense steps up. I said it a couple weeks ago. Their defense is very inconsistent, but they look really good one week and really bad another week. They looked bad last week. I expect them to step up defensively this game and get the job done. So I would take Carolina as a small home dog. Next game, Houston at Tennessee. Tennessee's -3. You got to look at the injury report here. I think Tannehill looks like he's done. It's better if he's just honestly out because he's a disaster anyway. So you're going to get the backup Willis in here at -3, even with the backup. Again, I said it a few weeks ago, the markets are starting to crash and have crashed on Tennessee. This team's going to, probably win the division and make the playoffs because they're in a really bad division. Mind you, Jacksonville, I think, is only a game behind them now at 6-8 and 7-7. But Houston's arguably the worst team in the league, and the Titans are at home only laying 3. So the markets have said, we're done with you, Tennessee, because every week that you think it's a good bet to pick them. They come up short. Mind you, they did cover for us last week, but man, they didn't look good. However, one team Derrick Henry runs all over every single time he plays them is Houston. He runs for over 200 yards every time he plays against this Texan defense. They have no rush defense. You can expect Tennessee to just pound the rock. I can't see Tennessee losing this game at only a field goal. I think they cover this spot. Next game, New Orleans at Cleveland. Cleveland's minus 2.5. I like the Browns last week against Baltimore. I like them again this week as a small home favorite of under a field goal. I think they'll continue to Deshaun Watson will continue to get better each and every week. They're at home, small home dog to a New Orleans team that I think they're done at this point. I think their defense is exhausted. I think this team is just done. Dome team going to a cold weather environment. I think Cleveland, honestly, take the Cleveland Browns in this spot. Next game, the Giants at Minnesota. Giants are a 4-point dog. I like the Giants at +4. Better defense, catching points. Minnesota probably in a letdown spot after that emotional come from behind win last week. I don't know how you follow that up. And really, Minnesota outplayed Indianapolis. So the 33-0 lead for Indy was because Minnesota turned over the ball. Dalvin Cook again failed twice on fourth downs. Once on a fake punt. They had a block punt return for a touchdown. They had another turnover somewhere in there, a pick six by Cousins. Like, it was legit, like, between turnovers and turnovers on downs in their own territory, it was like 5 turnovers. So Indianapolis had short fields every time they got the ball. Their average starting field position was in Minnesota's territory for the first half. The yards per play for Indy was like under 4 yards per play. They weren't doing anything. And I mean, I don't know how you blow that lead, but Minnesota, again, they shot themselves in the foot last week. But I think this is they're going to come back down to earth here a little bit. It's hard to follow up that comeback. The Giants, they got the big road divisional win last week. I think the defense continues to play well. And I actually think the Giants, not that they're great, but I actually think they're, again, I've been saying it all year, that Minnesota's a fraudulent team. The Giants are arguably just as good as Minnesota. So give me the points and take the Giants. Next game, Seattle at Kansas City. Kansas City's laying 10. I don't know how you bet this game. Kansas City doesn't cover spreads, let alone double digits, right? So take Seattle, ATS, and Kansas City on the money line. If you want to throw them in a money line parlay, who knows? That's what I would take. I would just take Seattle plus the points, but that's just only because I can't lay that many points of Kansas City. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just going to look through these games I've already talked about and give you teaser opportunities here. Obviously, you can take Baltimore in a teaser and just tease them down to win. You can also, if you want, tease the Jets up to like +7.5 or -7.5 and take Jacksonville. That's a good teaser shot. You expect that if the Jets are going to win, they're not going to win by any margin. Where else do we have a good teaser spot here? You can tease the Lions up to like -8.5 and take Carolina. What else do I like for teasers? You can also tease the Chiefs down, 7-point teaser, get them to a field goal. It's typically like going through 3, 6, and 7. So that is an opportunity. The next game is another teaser opportunity. Washington at San Francisco. San Francisco's about 7 points. You can tease them down to like -1 and take San Francisco there as well. But although against the spread, I do like Washington in this game. I've seen 7.5s. If you can get a 7, take Washington. But if you get 7.5, I like Washington even more. This is a game I likely will bet. I actually like Washington at +7.5. I think last week was kind of a tough spot for them. Washington was rolling. They got in the bye week, and I think that killed some momentum. And they lost against the Giants in a very weird ending to that game. But I think they get back on track this week. I know they're going against probably the hottest team in the NFC in San Francisco. But I think San Francisco comes back down to life a little bit. Not to say that they're playing over their heads, but I don't think Purdy is a long-term solution for San Francisco. Backup quarterbacks are always great to bet on when you have a good defense, good offensive line, and good running back. And San Francisco has all three of those. Plus, they have a lot of weapons in the receiving, even without Deebo Samuel. So I think Purdy is, I doubt he's going to be a long-term success story in the NFL. Maybe he will, who knows? I don't think he will be. He hasn't proven that yet. He's in a really good situation in San Francisco with a really offensive-minded coach. You see young quarterbacks succeed in the short term under these circumstances and environments. But I think he will regress a little bit. Washington has a pretty good defense. Taylor Heineke's feisty. Washington is fighting for a playoff spot, and they're getting a touchdown, a little more than a touchdown. I think Washington keeps this game close. I would look at the Commanders. Next game, Philly at Dallas. Not really a teaser spot at all in that garbage dead zone there. Dallas is a 5-point favorite. I like Philadelphia here. Minshew is probably going to be playing. Injured quarterback theory, usually the backup quarterback in the first game. The team plays well. They all step up. Divisional game. Dallas, I don't know. They're not really desperate, I don't think. They've already pretty much locked up a wild card spot. I think Philly keeps this game close. And I don't trust Dallas laying points. They're a team that blows a lot of leads. So I like Philadelphia at +5. And last game, Vegas at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, a -2.5-point favorite. Another kind of a teaser spot if you want to tease Pittsburgh all the way up to like -8.5 or whatever and take Vegas. That's a possibility as well. This is a big game, obviously. 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. Franco passed away, I believe, today. So you know this is going to be a really emotional game for Pittsburgh. It's a primetime 8:15 game on Saturday. I think a combination of the passing of him when his number is supposed to be retired, 50th anniversary, I think that's going to have a big impact for Pittsburgh here. The fact that they're at home, they have a better defense. The Raiders can't be trusted, although I think the Raiders are probably a better team. The gut tells me Pittsburgh's going to win, somehow find a way to win this football game. The Raiders, to me, again, they had a few weeks there where they're playing better and they're winning, but something's off about this football. They're not clutch. And the Raiders in these big games come up short. It was the same kind of thing a couple of years ago. Their last game in Oakland, all this hype around them. They had a 16-3 lead against Jacksonville, and I think they blew that game and lost 19-16. They just don't do well in these spots. Pittsburgh does well in these spots. They have the better defense, better coach. The emotion around this game. I like the Steelers laying under a field goal. That's it, guys. Like, subscribe, comment, join the Patreon. Let's kill it in Week 16. Good luck. And Merry Christmas. Happy Holidays.